All right, so you want to be an electricity distribution technician, huh? Well, today we're diving deep into how to ace that interview.
That's right.
And we've got all the tools you need, like career guides, sample interview questions, even some AI tricks from RoleCatcher.
hmm
Think about those impressive transmission towers, keeping our homes and businesses powered up.
Yeah,
We're talking about electricity distribution technicians. They are the guardians of the grid.
definitely. And the career guide shows this field has a stable job outlook.
Really?
Yeah, it's expected to grow quite a bit, especially with the need for electricity only increasing.
Makes sense?
Not to mention the shift towards renewable energy.
Ah, I see. But let's be real, it's not always easy, right?
Mm.
Working outdoors, no matter the weather, dealing with high voltage equipment.
Oh, absolutely. It demands a lot physically,
Yeah.
and safety is paramount. But it can be super rewarding. You're making a real difference, and the earning potential is there, especially with overtime opportunities highlighted in the guide.
True. You're right. And with all the new technology coming up, like smart grids and renewables, there's a lot to learn.
Totally agree. Continuous learning is key, as the guide emphasizes. Staying ahead of the curve, mastering new technologies.
Right.
Whether it's solar, smart grid maintenance, or the latest safety protocols, there's always room to grow.
Speaking of getting ahead, RoleCatcher can really give you an advantage.
Oh, for sure.
Their AI can fine-tune your CV and resume to perfectly match those job descriptions.
AI is changing how we apply for jobs. RoleCatcher analyzes job descriptions, picks out the key skills they want, and helps you highlight those in your application.
So no more generic resumes getting lost in the pile.
Exactly. You're basically creating a custom application that speaks directly to what the hiring manager is looking for.
Smart. And RoleCatcher does even more.
Right. They also give you AI-powered feedback on your interview practice, whether it's text or video.
Wow.
It's like having a coach analyze your answers, point out what needs work, and give you tips to make them better.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Like a secret weapon for your interview prep.
It really is. And then there's their Get Discovered feature.
What's that?
It lets employers actually search for candidates who have specific skills.
So it's like they come to you.
Exactly. So you're putting your best foot forward and increasing your chances of being seen by the right people.
That's brilliant. But let's get down to the actual interview. You've got to be ready to answer those tough questions.
Definitely. Practice is key. The more you know the common questions and think about your answers, the more confident you'll be on the big day.
For sure. And that's where these sample interview questions come in handy. Let's start with a classic. Can you describe your experience with electrical distribution systems?
Ah.
Seems simple, but what are they really getting at?
They want to know how deep your experience goes. Have you worked on residential systems, commercial, industrial? What voltage levels are you comfortable with? What specific equipment have you worked on? Transformers, switchgear, relays, the whole works.
So it's not just I've worked with electrical systems. You have to paint a clear picture.
Yes, exactly. Use this chance to talk about specific projects you've done, the skills you've picked up, what you've learned.
Right.
Like if you've upgraded a substation or dealt with a complex outage, those are things that show you can handle the job.
And don't forget those skills you've picked up from other jobs.
Sure.
Construction, manufacturing, things like wiring, troubleshooting, reading schematics. They all matter here.
Definitely. It's about showing them how your past experience makes you ready for the challenges of this role.
Okay, now what about those follow-up questions?
Sure.
What kind of curveballs could they throw after asking about your experience?
Well, they might ask you to go into more detail about a specific project, really get into the technical stuff. They could ask about challenges you faced and how you overcame them.
So problem-solving skills.
Exactly. Or they might ask about your knowledge of industry codes and regulations, like the National Electrical Code.
Got it. So be ready to go deep and show you really understand this stuff.
Right.
Let's move on to another common one, all about safety. How do you ensure safety when working with electrical systems?
Oh, a very important one.
It seems obvious, but why is it so important in this role?
Safety is absolutely crucial. Electricity can be incredibly dangerous. Even a small mistake can have serious consequences.
That's true.
They want to see that you take safety seriously, understand the risks, and that you'll follow the procedures to keep yourself and everyone else safe.
I see. So you need to go beyond just saying safety matters.
Definitely. You need to show them, the specific safety protocols and that you're always thinking ahead to prevent hazards.
Makes sense. So what are some of those key things to mention?
Well, start with the basics. Your personal protective equipment, hard hats, gloves, safety glasses, insulated tools, all of that.
The whole shebang.
Exactly. Then emphasize lockout, tagout procedures. Making sure equipment is de-energized before you do any work. Mention things like using a voltage detector to double check a circuit before you touch it, or working with a buddy when you're doing something risky.
Right, so it's all about showing that you don't cut corners when it comes to safety, and you're always thinking about how to minimize the risks.
Absolutely.
Now, for those follow-up questions, what kind of scenarios might they throw at you to really test your safety knowledge?
They might describe a situation and ask you how you would approach it safely. Like, imagine they say, what steps would you take before climbing a utility pole to work on overhead lines?
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Or how would you ensure the safety of a coworker working in a confined space?
Okay, so be ready to think on your feet and apply what you know about safety to real-life situations.
Exactly.
All right, let's try one that sometimes trips people up. Can you explain your experience with troubleshooting electrical systems? This can be a bit daunting if you haven't done this specific job before.
Yeah, but it's really about showing your problem-solving skills and your understanding of electrical principles. Even if you haven't been an electricity distribution technician, you've probably run into electrical problems before. Think about those times you had to figure out why something wasn't working and how you fixed it.
So those aha moments, when
Exactly.
you had to really think things through, what kind of example would really impress them?
Choose a situation that shows how you approach troubleshooting systematically. Start by describing the problem, what you saw, the steps you took to figure out what was wrong. Did you use a multimeter? Did you trace the circuit? Consult any diagrams? And don't forget to tell them how it ended. Did you fix it? Did you learn something from it?
Right, so they want to know you can not only find the problem, but fix it and learn from the experience.
Exactly.
Now, what kind of follow-up questions might they ask about your troubleshooting skills?
They might ask about the tools you're comfortable using, like oscilloscopes or megahometers. They might also throw out specific scenarios related to electrical distribution systems.
Okay, so be prepared to show your technical knowledge and how you'd use it in real situations.
Right.
All right, let's look at one that's about staying current. How do you stay up to date with new technologies and innovations in the electrical industry? This isn't just about technical skills, it's about showing you're adaptable and looking toward the future.
Absolutely. It's a field that's constantly evolving. They want to see that you're not just content with how things are, that you're actively learning new things.
Right, so show them you're not going to get left behind as the industry moves forward. What kind of answer would really show that forward-thinking mindset?
Well, it's all about showing them you're proactive. Talk about the professional groups you're in, the journals you read, online forums where you discuss new technology.
So it's about showing them that you're genuinely curious and you go out and find the information, not just waiting for it to come to you.
Precisely. And don't be shy about mentioning courses or workshops you've taken, especially anything about renewable energy or smart grid technologies.
Right, those are hot topics.
Exactly, those are hot topics. And what about personal projects? Maybe you've been playing around with solar panels at home
Good point.
or building a smart home system. Those are gold because they show that you're truly interested in the field beyond just what's required for the job.
All right, so it's all about showing your proactive learning habits, staying current, and being truly passionate about how electrical technology is evolving. Now let's move to one that tests your people skills. Can you describe a time when you had to work with a difficult team member on an electrical project? We all know those projects, right? Where personalities clash and things get tense.
Oh, for sure.
What's the key to answering this effectively?
Well, focus on what you did to resolve the situation. Did you listen to the other person's point of view? Did you try to find common ground, compromise? Did you communicate your concerns in a respectful, professional way? It's not about complaining about your coworker.
Right.
It's about showing you can handle those tough situations.
And what about when the other person is just wrong? Maybe even putting the project at risk. How do you handle that without throwing them under the bus?
It's tricky, but you can acknowledge that you disagreed, that there were different opinions, but focus on how you dealt with it constructively. Like maybe you presented evidence or you got the team talking to come to a decision together.
So it's about showing that you can deal with conflict professionally, stand up for what you believe in, and ultimately help the team succeed.
Exactly. All right, let's shift gears a bit and talk about a question that focuses on rules and regulations. How do you ensure that electrical systems are in compliance with safety regulations and codes? Might sound a bit boring, but it's super important.
Yeah, you got to know the rules. It shows them that you're serious about safety, both for the people working on the systems and the public.
Exactly. So first, you got to show them, the codes. The National Electrical Code, the NEC, local regulations, things like that. And then give examples of how you've used them in your work, like to make sure everything was up to par.
So it's not enough to just say you know the NEC. You got to prove it.
Right. And don't forget about keeping good records. That's important for showing that you're following the rules.
Makes sense.
Mention if you've got experience keeping those records, doing audits, working with inspectors.
So they know you're thorough. Now, what about those follow-ups? What else could they ask about your approach to compliance?
They might get specific, like asking about code requirements for a certain type of installation. Or they might describe a situation where something wasn't up to code and ask you what you'd do.
To be ready to think on your feet.
Exactly. You gotta show you can apply what you know to real situations.
Okay, let's try one that's about handling the heat. Can you describe a time when you had to work under pressure to complete an electrical project?
Pressure.
They want to see that you can stay cool, focused, and get things done, even when things get tough.
Right. So think of a time when you had a crazy deadline, or unexpected problems, or maybe a really high-stakes situation.
Like an emergency repair during a power outage.
Exactly. Or a really complicated installation that had you working overtime. Describe what happened, what made it so challenging, and how you managed it all.
Don't forget to mention your problem-solving skills and how you can adapt when things change.
Good point. Did you have to come up with a creative solution? Did you work closely with others to get it done?
Yeah, they want to see that you can handle stress, make good decisions when things are hectic, and still reach your goals.
For sure. Okay, now let's go back to teamwork. Can you describe a time when you had to work with a difficult team member on an electrical project?
Oh, we've all been there. Those projects where personalities clash and things get a little...
Tense.
Yeah, tense. What's the secret to answering this one well?
Focus on what you did, how you handled the situation. Did you really listen to what the other person had to say? Did you try to find some middle ground, a compromise? Did you communicate your concerns clearly but respectfully?
Okay, so it's not about bad-mouthing your teammate.
No, not at all. It's about showing you can handle those tricky situations maturely.
Right. What if the other person was just plain wrong, like they were making a mistake that could really hurt the project? How do you deal with that without making them look bad?
It's a tough one. You can acknowledge that you disagreed, that there were different opinions, but focus on how you approached it in a constructive way. Maybe you showed them some evidence to support your point, or you got the whole team talking to reach a decision together.
So it's about showing them you can deal with conflict professionally, stand up for what you believe in, and ultimately help the team succeed.
Exactly. Now, for our last question, let's go back to showing off your technical skills. Can you explain a time when you had to troubleshoot a complex electrical issue? This is your chance to shine as a problem solver.
Okay, story time again. But this time, it's all about those moments when you had to really dig deep and use your knowledge to crack the code. What details would really impress them?
Walk them through your thought process. Tell them what you noticed, what tests you ran, what you thought might be wrong, and how you finally found the problem. Did you use any special tools or techniques? Did you have to look at schematics or manuals?
Right, anything that shows you know your stuff.
Exactly. And to really make an impact, tell them about the results. Did you prevent a big, expensive outage? Did you save the company time and money by being a quick and efficient troubleshooter?
Okay, so set the scene, explain the steps, highlight your technical expertise, and show how you made a positive difference.
Exactly. This is your chance to show them what you're really capable of as an electricity distribution technician.
So we've covered a ton today. Career insights, interview tips, and those awesome AI tools from RoleCatcher.
Definitely a lot to think about.
Remember, being prepared is key, and RoleCatcher can give you that extra boost.
Right. Their AI can help you tailor your application, practice those answers, and even get you noticed by employers.
It's like having a career coach right in your pocket.
Exactly.
But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one last thought. We talked about keeping up with new tech, but let's go a step further.
Okay, I like where you're going with this.
Think about those skills that'll be in high demand as things keep changing. We're moving towards a more sustainable energy future. Renewables, smart grids, energy efficiency, that's where it's all going.
So it's not just about keeping up, it's about being ahead of the game.
Exactly. Think about specializing. finding your niche within electricity distribution, something that really interests you and matches where the industry is headed.
Yeah, like becoming an expert in solar installations or mastering those smart grid technologies.
Or maybe even focusing on energy storage solutions.
Those are all going to be huge as the industry goes through this major shift.
And by developing those specialized skills, you're not just valuable to employers, you're shaping the future of the whole electrical industry.
Yeah, you're right at the forefront of the change.
That's pretty amazing, right?
It is.
So
Yeah.
go out there and ace those interviews. Help build the sustainable energy future we all need.
Good luck, everyone.
And remember, you've got the power to succeed.